Today, I'm so happy to welcome our next guest, Konstantin. Hi, Konstantin.
Hi.
Thank you for joining us. It's
Thank
a
you
pleasure
for
for me to have you here. I really look forward to hearing your stories and your experiences.
Thank you for inviting me.
You did your minor in Norway?
Yes, exactly.
So, with one or two sentences, can you describe me your experience there? How was it?
I think something like experience that you get once in a lifetime and a very good experience.
And when did you exactly arrive there?
It was the beginning of January, I think like 6th or 7th of January. So I finished my minor, 3 weeks before, and then I went right away to Norway.
Oh, that's nice. And you were there for 6 months, right? So
Yeah, almost. Until the end of June.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice. But how did you make the decision Norway?
Well, I was always quite interested always wanted to go to Scandinavia because I'm really interested into nature, or I really like to be in nature. And Scandinavia I think is one of the best places to go to because it's quite a well-developed region, but you have still a lot of nature because there are not a lot of people living. And from what I've seen over Instagram or wherever, the views are just amazing. And
breathtaking.
so I was like, okay, if I have the opportunity to do a minor there, let's try that out. So yeah, first choice was Norway, and I think the second and third was Sweden and not Scandinavia but Finland. So I really wanted to go into that region.
Okay.
Yeah.
And how did you prepare to go to Norway? Did you have anything special
No, not really. I mean, it's not that far, so I took a flight, but payment wasn't really an issue there because you can pay everything by card.
Mm-hmm.
So and the banking card that I had was still was already you could already use that there. So I didn't have to do anything with that, and except for that I was just checking what do I have to pack for, especially clothing wise, because when I arrived, there was quite cold. Also, the university there said that we should definitely prepare for that. But except for that, I don't think there was anything specific very specific to consider.
I know that they have a saying where they say there is no such thing as a bad weather, but just a bad prepared person for the weather. So yeah, you should pack warm clothes for there. And do you remember what expectations you had before going there?
I was of course nervous because I think I've never been that far from home before, on my own. I think the main expectation was to have fun, to find new people, maybe even friends there, and to see the country, of course. Yeah.
And you said that you arrived in January, right? So very cold, the coldest time possible. And where were you staying? Was it a dorm accommodation from the university?
Yeah. So I studied in Lillehammer, which is 2.5 hours from Oslo, but there was a train that went directly to Lillehammer, so there wasn't a problem from the airport right away. And I stayed in a student accommodation. They had plenty of different housing opportunities or accommodation opportunities there. I think you could choose between 7 to 8 or 9 accommodations, and I think there was also the opportunity, or they said, okay, you could look for housing opportunities by yourself, but I think since Lillehammer isn't that big, so I think 20,000 people or something like that, I didn't want to do the work to look for that. And I mean,
of course,
it was the easiest also to get to know other people by just living in a student accommodation.
Yeah, so you say that it's 2 hours from Oslo, which is the capital.
Yeah.
You first arrived in Oslo.
Yeah.
But then you arrived to the city. What was again the name?
City? Oh, Lillehammer.
Yeah. What was your first impression of it?
I got there, I think, around 4 or 5 in the afternoon, and it was already dark. So
Surprise.
Not used to that. It was very cold. So the funny thing was, I arrived there and I was just standing outside, and just by the breath that was coming out of your mouth or your nose, my beard hair was like freezing kind of a little bit. Which was very I never experienced that before. At this and on the day of my arrival, I didn't really get a good impression from the city itself. But the day after, we went like for a walk there, and it's directly located to a large river. You could almost say that it's a lake, but in fact it is a river that runs, and I think even to Oslo or so. And it has kind of a very small city center, so it's kind of only like one street, which is still very nice because like the houses and everything look nice, and you have like cute shops and restaurants and other shops. Yeah, around that it's mainly living house, and of course like some areas where you have some supermarkets or other stuff.
A typical Norwegian city.
Well, different than Oslo, definitely.
Oh,
so
of course.
I
Besides
think
Oslo.
yeah, if I compare to the town where I originate or where I come from Germany, which is also kind of like I think 25,000 people live there. It is different because the city center is most of the time like a I don't know, a circle kind of, and there it's just a street. So that was a bit different. Maybe somehow as you see it in some Wild Western movies, where you also have like this one main street.
Everything is happening
there. Exactly. Okay. But it's kind of the main case for that city as well.
And let's talk about the university. What did you study there?
So I mean, I study here international business, but I thought, okay, I already studied now for 2 years, kind of IB, so I'm going to do something else. And I took 3 courses. One of them was international politics. And the other ones are language and communication and culture and communication. So it sounds quite similar. In some ways it was, but it was, one of them was mainly about, language itself, so different aspects of language. Also at the beginning we, for example, compared in what way animals and humans are different in their language, so based on certain characteristics, which was quite interesting. And the other one was, I would say, in some aspects quite similar to what you also get here in the first and second semester, I think, in effective communication, so like with the different cultures and how you interact and that stuff. But yeah, quite interesting. And I also liked the university itself very much because it's a very small university. So I think maybe around 3,000 to 4,000 students only. But I think it's quite, or it looks at least quite new. So you have a lot of wood and like modern architecture, which I think Norway is also quite famous for. And that's was a really nice place to hang out as well. Yeah,
they always have like a cool interiors.
Yeah.
There. And what was the examination?
It was, I had one final test, or like written exam.
Yeah.
And the other ones were a presentation and kind of also reports that we had to submit to certain dates. But so similar to here, or yeah.
Were the lecturers very strict about attendance, about like expectations from the student? What did they expect from you?
No, not really, I would say. So it was also quite a personal relationship with, towards the lecturers. So you could always approach them in informal kind of, in an informal way. And I mean, they said, okay, for some courses or for the presentations, you of course have to be there. But except for that, they didn't really care whether you are there or not. They said, okay, it's always recommendable to be there because then you get the stuff firsthand. And I think most of the time I was also there. And it is not a lot of time. I mean, in that way that you spend there and that you have to do so much stuff. So it was interesting and yeah.
So how did you then balance the studying with the social life, going out?
That was quite easy because I think we had like at least 1, maybe even 2 days kind of free where we didn't have school, depending on which courses you chose.
Besides Saturday and Sunday?
Yeah.
Okay,
I think so. It was quite chill. And well, you had some homework to do sometimes, or like no, not actually. You didn't have to do that much homework, but preparing for the presentations and doing the report stuff in between, because for one of the courses you had to submit, I think, one also during the semester, and so it was quite easy to like balance the studies with the the free time or the activities that you did in between. So, for example, what was quite nice is that you had a ski resort close nearby, so you could go there by bus in like I think half an hour.
No way.
And the best thing was that in Norway they have an organization that's called BUA, and BUA gets like second-hand stuff, so like sports stuff, also hiking boots. They have kind of everything, and they rent that out for free because they wanna kind of support that children, or like especially children, do sports. So it's mainly for children, but we as students were also able to like make an account at BUA and then also rent the stuff. And the thing is, so we could rent skis for free there for like 1 week and then just go skiing. And additionally to that, we also were able to do voluntary work at Ski World Cup and European Cup in Kvitfjell and Hafjell, which was close nearby. Hafjell is the ski resort where we always went for skiing. And if you did, I think, more than 9 days of volunteering, you got a seasonal ski pass for free as well. So we kind of skied for free there.
Everything adds up, and then you just ski for free, which is like
and that was really the best, because we could ski, I think, until mid of April.
Yeah, because of the weather.
Yeah,
the conditions.
So if you're a person that wants to go some warm place, maybe Norway isn't the best decision. But if you like skiing and hiking and whatever, Norway is
it's the place.
I can recommend to go to Norway.
Okay, but I suppose you didn't do all that alone. So did you
No.
make any friends there?
Yeah, of course. I met a lot of Dutch friends specifically.
Really?
Yeah, I've met there, I think, more Dutchies than I've met here at Fontes, to be honest. So
I can imagine.
Yeah. So I think the main groups, or the main part of internationals are Dutch students, and after that German students. So I think that's like maybe already 50% of the international students. And then you have also some students from Czech Republic, from Slovakia, Poland we also had. And we even had a few French, Spanish, and one Italian. I think they had to get a bit used to the cold.
That was what I was thinking. Poor Spanish people there in Norway.
So was the quite international, and we had a lot of fun.
And did you like make a good friendships? Do you still contact some of them? Are you in touch with them?
So there are a few Germans that one of them is also living close nearby where I used to live. I haven't been able to meet him yet, but we're gonna do that hopefully in the future someday. And apart from that, I've made, I think, 3, 4, 5 good Dutch friends that I've still in contact with, and that I've seen already after the study abroad already. And I consider them very, very close friends. And that's nice that you also find such good friends over half a year.
It's nice for sure. And you spent some time with other people, but did you spend a lot of time alone?
I wouldn't say so, because the thing is, with our student accommodation, what was quite nice is that we had our own room.
Oh, that's nice. With
our own bathroom as well.
Yeah.
So if we wanted to be alone, then we could be. Then it was possible. But we shared, I think, 4 to 6 people shared one kitchen. And over the course of the semester, we just used to hang out more and more together, especially in the kitchen. And when it got warmer, also outside then. So that was quite nice. And in the student accommodations, there's always something going on, and you always see and hear people. So that it wasn't the issue to like find people, or to if you wanted to do something then with some other people, then that wasn't a problem.
So were there times that you can say you felt lonely, or you were most surrounded by other people?
No, I wouldn't say that there were any times that I felt lonely, because I was already used living on my own.
Mm-hmm.
I used to, for my whole life since I moved out, I lived in shared flats, so like with other people together. And also like in Norway, kind of felt the same, even though you didn't live like directly together with the people, but you still shared a kitchen and there were always people. And yeah.
So did you maybe felt a bit homesick at least?
No, not at all.
No, okay, you were having the time of your life.
Yeah.
I'm so happy to hear that for you. Yeah, okay, then let's move on. Tell me about the day-to-day life. The social norms, what is normal there, what is not, how are the people like?
Well, regarding the people, Norwegians,
Yeah, the locals.
It doesn't count for everybody, but I would say a lot of them are like very to them. So it was difficult for us to get to know Norwegians because they are very shy, and at least it seems that they are shy and introverted. Well, in effective communication, I think it was like we have this coconut peach concept where you could say, okay, the Norwegians are the coconuts. We actually met a German guy there who studied there full time, so we were able to kind of meet some Norwegians by meeting him.
Yeah.
But I think over the whole semester, we mainly just did stuff with the internationals, or like within the international bubble, which was fine for me because we had such a good time there.
But did any like particular social norms like stood up to you? Because I remember when I was in fact in Norway, I was walking down the street, and because I like to sometimes make eye contact with people and smile, they're always just like trying to avoid eye contact, looking at the ground, looking at the sky, everywhere, but not at you.
Yeah, I didn't pay a lot of attention like directly to what you said now, but what you had in the bus, kind of that's quite an interesting thing, is that they were always sitting like close to the window, and the seat next to them was almost never taken.
Yeah,
and they told us and I think in the introduction week at the university that it's like common for the Norwegians to do that, and that they don't expect you to sit next to them because it's kind of like invading their personal space.
So they love their personal space.
Yeah.
Okay.
But apart from that, I mean, you meet some open Norwegians. So for example, during the volunteering, they were all quite open and nice. But of course, also like people that are more to themselves, and yeah.
So you were there for 6 months.
Yeah.
You had time to get to know your environment. But at what point did you start exploring the country?
It was quite early already because we went, I think, in the beginning of February already to Tromsø. I don't know if that rings a bell to you, but that's like quite far north. So I think like in the Arctic Circle already. So even colder than Lillehammer.
Perfect.
And the sun is like going down, I think, already around 2 to 3. So that was even more like difficult to adapt to than in Lillehammer. But we stayed there, I think, like for almost 3 days.
Oh.
And we did a boat trip. The weather was bad, but still quite like the atmosphere, like. You stood outside of the boat and you had like all this fog around you, and it was still...
It's something new, so it's always nice to see.
Exactly.
Whether if the weather is not good.
Well, the city itself wasn't that... I think it's more like an industrial city, but overall it was quite a nice experience. We did a reindeer tour, kind of.
No way.
But that was very touristic.
Sure.
I think I'm not sure if I've ever felt that touristic in my life. I didn't feel that comfortable, to be honest. Because we kind of were like going in a circle.
Yeah.
But still, like to get I think there was also kind of connected with the Sami, which is a culture up there in Norway. And it was still very interesting because we got to know a bit about the Sami culture, and because they used to live, or some of them still mainly live off the reindeers.
So can you tell us a bit more about the Sami culture?
they have those very special, not robes, but like clothing.
Yeah.
They don't wear that every day. So if you could meet a Sami in the town, and you wouldn't recognize him because he just looks like we do. And they have a very they also have a different, or like I think they also have a different language, or like they have
something similar.
Something.
Yeah.
And they, I think at the end of this kind of day with the Sami and all this, one of them also like kind of sing a song, which is with different. I don't know if it's actual words or something different, but for them it has kind of a meaning, and they can understand what they sing about, and that has a strong meaning. I think meaning to them.
Yeah, it's just something important to them.
Yeah, but as I said, I can't recall that much anymore, which is a bit sad, of course. But
they have their own regions where they live.
I think it's they mainly in the north.
Okay.
And as it has been with a lot of other like groups, ethnic groups. I think they were also kind of. They were also kind of suppressed by the government, I think. Nowadays, that isn't the case anymore, but they still kind of suffer from that, or like at least feel the influences from.
Yeah, they still carry it with them.
Yeah.
And was it hard to explore? Did you have any struggles with the language, with the transportation?
Oh no, with the language, not at all, because I think most of the Norwegians are speaking English, so that's not a problem at all.
But do they want to speak it, or?
No, they kind of switch quite fast, because we couldn't talk any Norwegian at all, and so we were just in the supermarket, for example. By card, please. Or I mean, there you didn't have to talk a lot with them, but as soon as they recognized you as an international, they kind of switched to English, and they were pretty chill about that. So
so they're not judging.
No.
Okay, that's nice.
Yeah.
And what about the transportation? How did you do that?
Well, within Lillehammer, we had quite a good transportation system by bus. So there was, I think, from our student accommodation, there was a bus going kind of like every 5 to 10 minutes.
Is it expensive though? The public transport.
Well, I paid, I think, for like half a year or for 6 months, 250 euros or something like that. For like a seasonal pass that went from kind of Lillehammer's main station to the ski resort. But you could also just book one or like pay for one that only is in Lillehammer. But since I went a lot of skiing, then I was I'm just going to include the ski resort as well. So I think 250 euros is for 6 months kind of fine.
It could be better, but it could be worse. So,
but maybe for Norwegian standards, that's already
for them
because
it's okay.
Because money-wise in the supermarkets it was quite expensive. So buses, like the public transportation service was very good, and also the trains, they were on times, not as in Germany. Yeah. I mean, I'm used to it, and I kind of you can't change anything about it. But in Norway, it was very good. But if you really want to get into like nature or like maybe the national parks, then you can't do that with like bus or train. So for example, we went, I think in March to Bergen, which is kind of, you have Lillehammer kind of in the center, or like also, or not really close to the Swedish border, but like in the center of the country kind of. And then Bergen is like just straight over the highlands or like mountains at the sea, and we booked a car for that. So we went through the fjords and the mountains, and if you wanna like explore the countryside in that way, then you have to do that by car.
You did a lot of traveling in Norway. Can you tell me a bit more about that experience? When did you do it? Where did you do it? How was it? What did you saw?
So, well, as I already said earlier, we visited Tromsø with quite a large group, I think 12 or 13 people. Wouldn't recommend that. So like 4 or 5 people are a good way to go with. And then in March we went to Bergen, which is close to the sea, quite a nice city. You have those. Maybe you already seen those Instagram pictures with like those wooden houses that are like kind of a bit not very straight, but they go like a bit like this, and then there's kind of a wooden bridge going over there, and everything like that. So you have this kind of small area there.
Do we have that pictures of those houses?
Oh no, I'm not. I'm afraid not.
Can we?
Because I didn't had a good picture of that.
Yeah. Can we pull out the pictures and you
sure.
can walk us through them also?
Of course. So this was on the way from Bergen back to Lillehammer. And when we were going over those highlands, and in winter, you have massive snow there. So that you see those wooden sticks on the left and the right sides. Yeah. They are for kind of like for the people to know, okay, we have to get the snow from the road here because here's the road. And so you know where to drive as well. So for me, that was quite impressive because you kind of had kind of a snow wasteland or like snow desert from there on, and just like having these wooden pikes sticking out there, and the snow I think was like kind of 2 meters still, and it was like end of March, was just crazy to me.
This one, oh no.
That was not on the way back, but on the way to Bergen. I think like kind of the first point where we made a short break.
Yeah.
And the first fjord that we had.
Oh, nice.
So very, very impressive from the also the kind of the mirror in the water, so that you had. Yeah, I just like to take pictures of the landscape, and Norway is a perfect place for that. With like all these, we probably see that also later in some of the pictures from Lofoten, where I've also been. But you have these extremes from like. It is flat, and then at one point it just goes up.
Yeah.
And that's just very impressive.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is this?
There was a bit outside of Bergen. In Norway, they have churches, or like not that those are not like churches as we know them today, but they are staple churches, as you would call them. So they are, I think, only made out of wood. And there used to be quite a lot in Norway, but during the, I think, Christianization, I don't know if I speak that correctly, but so there used to be a lot during the or before the Christianization of Norway, but they were either burned down or demolished, destroyed. So there are, I think, like 20, 25, maybe a bit more left in Norway, and this is one of them, and was a bit outside of Bergen, and just I think quite interesting and impressive to see also, like from the building structure and everything.
Is there any particular reason for the coloring of the?
I think they kind of. I'm not sure if that's the case with this one as well, but I think they kind of burn the wood so that it doesn't rot that fast, or maybe it's some kind of color nowadays so that it doesn't rot, but I'm not sure about that. But most of them are quite dark and cold, of course, because it's just wood.
yeah.
Okay, that's
some color.
That's not the street that I was talking earlier about, but a different one. But you had in also Bergen as well. Quite a lot of those nice small houses with like different colors, and that wasn't like really the kind of the city center, but just like the living area where like the normal people kind of live. Yeah. And I think you could go there for like 1 or 2 hours just through the streets, and you see different houses and everything. It just looks beautiful wherever you go.
So they put some colors in their
buildings.
They have to get it from somewhere.
Yeah, that's true.
If it's not the sun, then the buildings.
Yeah. Okay. So that was now.
Is that you there?
Yes, it is.
Oh my God, so jealous.
There was now, I think, in the beginning of June, when during our last final trip that we did to Lofoten, and Lofoten is the place to go. So I can understand the Instagram hype, or like the overall hype about Lofoten, because it is an amazing place.
Yeah.
And that was one of the hikings that we did. The beach that you see down there is Kvalvika Beach. I don't know if I say it correctly, but I just say it how I think it's sound, or like how you say it. And yeah, just also like the difference, the extremes again of the mountains, and then you have the sea directly, and there's nothing like flat land or anything anymore, but just
Were you
impressive.
brave enough to try the water? To swim in it, or not swim, but like go in it?
I think there's well, in Lillehammer we went into into the river twice for like kind of ice bathing. It is very cold, and I don't like cold water, so I didn't stay there I think like maybe 10 seconds or so, and then I went out again. But if you're brave enough, I recommend you to try it out just for the experience.
Is ice bathing part of their culture? Do they do it regularly?
I think it's not that common as it is, for example, in Finland.
Mm-hmm.
But you still have some saunas and then like ice bathing and everything there as well. But I think it's not that common. That is, I think that was like maybe 1 hour after we arrived, and since it is in June, you have those differences in winter it gets quite fast dark, and in summer in Lofoten, or like the more north you go, the less hours of darkness you have, and
so
this
the
was
day is longer.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
and this is during the tide where you had the midnight summer. I think that's the correct word for it. So this was, I think, around like 11 during the night, and the sun was going down or maybe already rising again. And I think we arrived like 1 hour before at Lofoten, and it was the first thing we saw that, and we were like, okay, we have to stop now. We are gonna have to take a picture. So like the first kind of impression of Norway, of Lofoten. I think if you look for that in Instagram, you're gonna find a lot of pictures about that. That's the Rietenhike.
What is this place? It looks amazing.
It is amazing. The hike itself isn't that impressive because it's, I think, almost only stairs. So like I think 1,900 stairs that you just go up, and then you are on top of that. But just the view, and we did that at midnight. So I think around 12:01 a.m. in the morning, I think then.
But
so we when we got up there, the sun was rising, and
nice. So this is a picture you took, or
yes. And that was with the phone. We took also some pictures with the camera. They are, I think, a bit more better quality as well. I don't know if I have.
This is taken with a phone.
Yeah.
No, I could only imagine what it's like in real life. Because usually the phone is like just it's
yeah,
nice.
But it is. The thing is, I am a bit afraid of the heights. So this one was a bit challenging for me up there, because it was like
even
directly
better.
going like this, and I was
better.
like, okay, I have to stay somewhere where I kind of feel a bit safe. But still, I can definitely recommend doing that hike, especially during the night in summer, just for the sunrise or when the sun goes down.
Yeah,
definitely recommendable.
I was dying to ask you, did you see the lights?
I did.
Oh, no.
Not that strong as I would expect them to be.
What do you mean?
But the thing is, that could be even stronger. So it was very when the thing is, the cameras kind of enhance the colors of the polar lights. So through the camera you can see them more easily than with your own eyes. Okay. So when we first saw them, a friend of mine said, like, "Oh yeah, there are the northern lights." And I was like watching and looking, and I was like,
"Are you sure?
Are you sure? I can't see anything." And then another friend was like going there and was like, "Oh yeah, I can see them." I'm like, "Nah, you're kidding me." And then I got my glass and I was like looking into the distance. I was like, "Oh yeah, they are there."
But what's the feeling of finally see? Like, you hear about them all your life. You go there, you know that eventually, especially during the winter, you will see them.
It is amazing. Just you actually kind of see them moving as well. Really? So depending on how strong they are, you can really like see them moving. I think we also like downloaded an app for that because the app then says you, okay, now is the KPI index that kind of says, okay, the higher the KPI index, the more or the better are the chances of seeing the northern lights. Of course, the weather also has to play a role in that. So if it's cloudy, then you can't see them. But I
you were
think
lucky enough to.
yeah, we were lucky. We actually were lucky enough to also see them in Lillehammer once. They weren't that strong. I think that was during the time where you could also kind of see them in Germany or like in the Netherlands and so on as well.
Yeah.
And we also met a guy there who studied there for 1 year, and the semester before we arrived there, he had so bright and strong polar lights that they were even purple.
Purple.
So he showed us a few pictures, and this was also very impressive. But yeah, that's also already quite an
impressive itself. If I have to give one word, cold.
Yeah,
that's what this picture looks like.
So there was also in Tromsø. I mean, also kind of just a picture from the scenery, but the landscape and everything. Probably around like 2 or 3 p.m. So and the sun was already setting.
Wow.
Oh yeah, that was also on Rieten hike. That was taken with the camera. I would say that's a good picture.
You would say that? No way. It's an amazing picture. I could only imagine what is it like in real life.
It's fascinating. Like, and then if you're not afraid of heights, you don't have to think about that, and you just you can just enjoy the view. There was those were the people or the friends that I've been with in Lofoten.
Yeah,
my closest friends, I would say, that I still have seen after my study abroad. So there was also actually in Lofoten, and we were surfing there. So which was also a crazy experience because when I went there, I wouldn't have thought about that I would surf in Norway. Because you don't think that it's like really possible to do that there. And we afterwards was like, okay, we can say that we've been to Norway and we went skiing and surfing during 6 months in the same country. But yeah, just also like a very, very nice experience. And if you go to Lofoten and if you have the money for it to do all that stuff, I can recommend you to do that as well and to try that out. There was that was near to Lillehammer actually. I've been there. I hiked there with a friend too. That's kind of like the famous frozen waterfall that is I think like 1 hour with the bus or so from Lillehammer.
Also,
and you have
it's like a seaside, like something you should.
Yeah.
Oh.
I kind of not the main attraction, but everybody who that you meet there and that has a bit of knowledge about the area says, okay, you should go there at least once, like during winter or so, because there was, I think, already in March or like maybe end of February, so it wasn't that impressive anymore, and it was like already molten down quite a lot. But like a few friends of mine went there, I think in January already, and that was even more impressive. But this is also still you had to be a bit careful because the ice. So you have the waterfall going down, and then there's also a lot of ice, and then there was kind of the water running, and you had to be a bit careful that you don't slide into the water.
That would be not so nice.
No, definitely not.
Also, something else I've been dying to ask you about all the sports. You said you surfed there.
Yeah.
I see that you also ski.
Yeah, I mean I used to ski already for I think like 6 or 7 years before that, but of course Norway and the ski resort that was close by is the perfect opportunity to do that. So we went a lot of skiing. I also tried out snowboarding because a friend of mine is a snowboard teacher, and she taught us to kind of I think 2 times to like taught us the basics.
Yeah,
it was very fun. I really want to do it again. And I mean, apart from skiing and snowboarding, which is quite popular there, you can also do cross country skiing, for example. Tried that also once. Like with it's also kind of skis, but they are a bit thinner. And then you only have them like hooked in at the on your toes, kind of. So the back of your feet is kind of loose, and you always go like up. It's a bit like kind of a walking, sliding.
Yeah.
You have to get used to it, but with the opportunity that we got from BUA, that was just perfect to like try out the different sports, try out the hiking, the skiing. So you rent it for a week, and then afterwards you can't rent the same stuff again. So you have to take 1 week of a break, kind of. And after that, you can rent the same stuff again.
Okay.
But yeah, just try it out. BUA is the perfect opportunity there, and the university was very helpful and informative about that, and said, okay, you can do that, guys, and we can recommend you to do that.
So yeah, we saw all these beautiful pictures. It was really nice seeing them. Thank you for showing me. Tell me now, what experience did you have with the food there?
Well, I would say I was a bit disappointed. I mean, the thing is with Norwegian food is that there's not a lot of like typical Norwegian food as you would know it from other countries. I mean, you can't compare to Italy because like Italy is the country if you talk about food, or like one of the countries. Most of the time, I was also cooking with a lot of friends, and we just cooked our own stuff. You have not a lot of variety regarding like restaurants and like food options there. There's a lot of like burger houses, pizza, some Indian, or maybe also some sushi place. But that's kind of it, at least in Lillehammer. I think in Oslo it's a bit more diverse, and you get a lot more, or like some more different stuff as well. But if you search for something like very typical, you have like 1 or 2 things, and that's it. Yeah, you have this dried fish that they fish in the north of Norway, so around Lofoten and everything, and then they just dry it on like wooden racks, and you get it in the supermarket, very expensive. Or like in general, everything is very expensive in Norway in the supermarkets, or like most of it. Doesn't taste good. I tried it, doesn't taste good. You can still try it. Well, its taste is something subjective, but
yeah, but you didn't like that.
No. So the food wasn't yeah. I think if you go to Norway, don't expect that high, or you shouldn't have that high expectations from the food, but from the nature and the landscape and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So it's a question that I'm always interested.
Mm-hmm.
Is it cheaper to eat out or to cook at home?
Cook at home, definitely.
Okay.
And I think
that
even
was fast.
and it's even cheaper if you like share or like cook together with friends and just share everything. To eat at a restaurant or something like that is very expensive. I think, for example, you get a half liter of beer for €11, 10 to €11. So
no.
yeah.
No.
Also, like going and partying is very expensive. And food, €20, maybe even more.
Mm-hmm.
So I think you can lose quite easily 30 to €40 with one meal when you go out.
Not so nice.
To eat.
Okay, you told me that the food was not something that interesting. It wasn't kind of like a cultural shock, but because it was not something so special.
Mm-hmm.
But what other cultural shocks you had there? Or like, did you had any cultural shocks there?
I wouldn't say so. I mean, I had to get used, but that isn't really a culture shock, but I had to get used a bit to the cold. But apart from that, well, of course, the people were a bit to themselves.
Mm-hmm.
But other than that, I can't recall anything that was like very, very shocking to me. And I was like, okay, wow, that I don't know how to deal with that right now, and I have to get used to it. Maybe not. It was quite easy for me to adapt, or like to yeah.
Yeah, and something traditional for them. You told me you were there on May the 17th.
Yeah.
Can you tell me a bit more about that? What is it about? What do you
for
do?
the Norwegian, it's a very important day. I think it's it's kind of the Constitution Day.
Yeah, I think it's their national.
Yeah, exactly. And so like all the Norwegians dress up with those typical robes. I mean, just the girls, because the boys have like just the suit on.
Yeah.
And they had this parade going through the city, and there was just interesting to see, interesting to see. You had those. They were like kind of. It reminded me a bit of like carnival or in my part of Germany you could also say Fasching, because you have those kind of groups that are like going through the street and they kind of represent I don't know. Okay, in Norway was it, for example, different kind of schools or like the different classes, and you were just like watching them, and then there were like some musicians as well. And what was interesting, I don't know if they also have that in Oslo, but at least in Lillehammer, they also had kind of like a car parade afterwards. So they were driving like with old cars through the street, and it was also like very interesting to see because they had you've never seen those old cars before. Like
so it
was a very nice day. In the afternoon, of course, they party a lot, or like in the evening then. And for us internationals, also quite an experience.
So. How is the party culture there?
It's at least from regarding the days, it's kind of similar to the Netherlands, because on Thursday we always went out to an Irish pub there and had a kind of a karaoke night. So Thursday was always karaoke night. So drinking, partying. They had they had even 2 pool tables down there. Just talking with the people, dancing, singing. And then on Saturday was like more of the kind of club night. Overall, Lillehammer isn't a big city, so you don't have a lot of opportunities to go out there. You have 2 kind of pubs/clubs there. The one actual club, I can't recommend it because it costs money. The music is very bad. And the people are also sometimes a bit weird.
Yeah.
So we when we mainly stayed with the internationals because we were kind of the same.
Common,
Exactly. We had things in common. And so we had this club. We had the Irish pub, which I only can recommend for Thursdays. On Saturday, there are old people there. You can't do that, but it might be a bit weird. And on Saturday you have this club, which I can't recommend, and then was kind of like a club/pub, but like all the young people were going on Saturdays there, and there was also music-wise and people-wise just better and more fun. And normally, or like I think it's in Norway in general like that, and that they are only open until 3 a.m. in the morning, and then everything closes up. Which was nice for me because I'm not really like a late partier.
Yeah.
So 3 was fine for me.
You can still go have a rest and be fresh in the morning. So that's nice.
Exactly.
That's nice. You shared all these beautiful stories. You spent 6 months there, but you know that the end will eventually come. How did you feel when you knew the end was approaching?
Uncomfortable in kind of a way, because it felt like home already. I mean, for me, something like that always gets like a second home quite fast. So it was very hard leaving. Also to know that you won't see the people that you were hanging around with literally every day.
All the time, yeah.
Yeah, that you weren't able to see them like that often anymore. That was quite hard. And even now I would say that I'm still not really like fully adapted back into like the actual the environment here, like to actually really study again and to have like this day-to-day life again. So that's something that can hit you and that can follow you some time after even.
And how long are you here now? Like,
well, since the end of June.
Okay, yeah, quite some time. So was it hard to leave then?
Yes.
Yeah. You already said that you still need time to like integrate back here. How does it feel to be back?
Well, after I think like almost now 3 months, if I count correctly, it is right. It is better. So I think like the first 1.5, maybe 2 months, they were the hardest. So like the longer you are here, the better it gets.
Of course, yeah.
And especially since I have the friends that I met there quite close around, so they are living in the Netherlands, but one of them, for example, just lives like half an hour away. I think, or like if I could give a recommendation for like everybody who goes abroad and afterwards has this issue, do something. Like I got back home and I was like, okay, I have now 2 months and I don't know what to do, and I just looked for like a mini job or like a part-time job, and I just simple thing in the supermarket, just like stocking shelves, being a cashier, and to get kind of distracted.
Yeah,
I think that's a good thing, because then you can't spend that many thoughts about all that stuff. It's good to spend those, to have those thoughts and everything, but not the whole time, because I think that's then unhealthy.
Yeah.
In a way. So now being back at university, I also have to do stuff, and I don't have that many thoughts about it anymore. Of course, I sometimes still miss it, and I think that's fine. But yeah.
So I understand. It sounds like it was a really big thing for you. You went like through a lot of things in a good way. So what did you learn during this time abroad? Did you learn something new that you had no idea about yourself, about the world in general, people?
I think be open to new things, and even if you might be a bit scared, or like going into an environment or situation that you're not used to, that you haven't ever seen before or met before, can develop into a fantastic experience. And for people that have the opportunity to go on a study abroad or also an internship, I can recommend to go some place, and not maybe to stay that close to home, and to use that opportunity and go to Norway or Asia, America, wherever. Just do that, because
Go
it's
far.
Yeah, go far. You don't have to go that
back,
far,
yes.
but just go a different place where it's a bit different, and to have those to get those experience. I think that's something that you get maybe once in a lifetime, probably. And that's something that you can't get out.
Do you feel changed in a way? And how, if so?
I think a bit more confident in a way, or like I think a bit more open to like new situations and to try out new things. Sometimes it's still difficult for me, and I think that might stick around for a bit longer, but I try to work on that, and to try to be even more open and everything. But and to be confident, being more confident and exploratory, or like to.
And I have one last question that I'm interested in. Was there anything hard that you had to overcome? Because overall, you sound like you had such an amazing experience, which is excellent, of course. But was there anything that you had to like? Did you struggle with something?
I think with leaving.
Okay, yeah.
No, but
That's
I can't.
well.
I can't think of anything that was very, very hard for me to.
That's nice. That's
to adapt
really
to, or
nice.
something.
Okay, thank you for sharing your minor experience. It was really a pleasure for me to hear all that. And everything, the pictures, the stories, I loved it. And I am really looking forward to hear about your internship.